Hey, is it Pereira and Merab, are they future GOATs? But hey, it's your boy DHP, man. Y'all know the rest. But hey, just a quick little disclaimer. I've been under the weather, so y'all bear with my voice and my, lack of energy. But we got to talk about, before I want to get to the Charlie Olives and Matheus Gamrot, Reed DeJaneiro, Brazil Fight Night card. I told y'all on my last video, I'm going to talk about the Pereira and Merab situation, or the little conversation debate. Pereira, Merab, more so for two different reasons. Pereira all-time GOAT already, getting closer to John Jones, and is Merab a bantamweight GOAT? Now I want to touch on Merab before I get to Alex Pereira. Merab, is he looked at as a bantamweight GOAT? Because if you think about it, we got Dom Cruz, right? Me personally, I consider Dom Cruz a bantamweight GOAT. He really never lost the belt unless he was hurt up until we got the Cody Garbrandt. But about time, Cody Garbrandt got to Dom, it wasn't the Dom Cruz that we all know and love, right? Like Dom, at that point, Dom was just too injury riddled. Like, he could still be somewhat himself with the way he was moving in the ring, his footwork, his stick and move jabs, and his wrestling. But Cody, he finally ran into somebody who was basically like a younger version of himself, just with extreme power. Dom really didn't have the power, but Cody Garbrandt, he had extreme power. So basically, when Dom faced Cody, it was more like Dom facing his younger self, just with power. So I consider Dom a bantamweight GOAT still, just because what he has accomplished coming into the UFC and while in the UFC as champ. But it's more so like the shit he did at WEC, and then he carried it on to the UFC when UFC bought out WEC. TJ, I know there's a lot of niggas who would say TJ is the bantamweight GOAT, because even after, he lost to Dom, he was able to still find success and get the title back by beating the nigga in Cody who beat Dom. And then TJ really beat everybody else, but like Cody Garbrandt and, not Cody Garbrandt, Corey Sandhagen and Aljo. So I know a lot of other people, they got TJ, but it's Merab. The pace that Merab is on, is he catching and possibly overlapping TJ and Dom? Because if you look at Merab's style, right, the way he fights, the way he dominate fights, he's not beating like trash cans. This nigga is beating Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's a crazy ass striker. I feel like Sugar Sean, and I said it a while ago, Sugar Sean would beat anybody else in the division but a grappler in Merab and Umar. In my personal opinion, he would probably beat Corey Sandhagen. I think Corey, if they ever fight, I think now this would probably be the perfect chance for them two niggas to fight now, since Corey lost another loss against Merab. Corey would have to grapple Sugar Sean, in my personal opinion. And then you got Pereira, who's, my personal opinion, going back to that whole debate with Bud and Topuria, when Bud got asked the question, who's the best boxer in the UFC, right? And he mentioned Cody Garbrandt. I didn't speak my thoughts on camera. I said it in my personal group chat, but my personal opinion, the best boxer in the UFC is Pereira, right? So you got Pereira, who's the best boxer to me in the UFC, and still a top threat even now in 2025, because Pereira been in the UFC for a while. So even in 2025 UFC climate, Pereira is still a top 3 contender at bantamweight. Then you got Umar, who we all thought he was the Merab equalizer, and he's a Nurmagomedov. and the style that he has is unbeatable. It's still unbeatable. But Merab cracked the code on that and beat beat Umar. And then you got Corey Sandhagen, who's not no bum by any stretch. This nigga Corey Sandhagen is a top 5 threat at any time, and he has an awkward technical style that can catch anybody off guard. So when you keep that in mind with the niggas that Merab beating, and you look at the outlook of the whole bantamweight division as it stands, and then you look at, you know, the potential rematches that Merab can have, and I said it over and over. You go through, you know, on each platform, YouTube and my other platform, Instagram, I've said it over and over. At this point, if Umar, because I don't, even with Petrion potentially getting the rematch, and I think they will gonna do that, they're gonna do that rematch, because Merab been calling for that rematch. He been saying this whole time that Petrion deserves his rematch, and then Umar is facing Mario Batista. So yeah, Merab and Petrion definitely gonna get that rematch going. But even with that, I don't think Petrion could beat Merab, just because he may put Merab in some, you know, crazy, you know, predicaments striking wise, but then Merab is gonna do the same shit that he's done to Sugar Sean and Corey Sandhagen. That's grapple the shit out of him. Even if Petrion stuff half of it, Merab is so ruthless with it. It's the only person to me is Umar, because he has that same grappling style, and he's also a dynamic striker. The thing with Umar is that his cardio. Merab got way better cardio than Umar, and obviously he proved that in the first fight. So that's why I keep saying, if Umar don't beat Merab in the second fight, whenever they have the rematch, well, that's if, because Umar still got to get through Mario Batista. Mario Batista ain't no slouch, but stylistically, I feel like Umar should beat Mario, because Umar just have that Dagestanian grappling style where it just, you're gonna need some type of grappling to offset Umar. That's just, ain't no other way around it. I can break it down to some other shit, but it's as simple as you want to need some grappling to offset what the fuck he be doing. So if Umar and Merab gets to that rematch, I'm already counting on it. Umar is the only one that can beat Merab. If Umar don't beat Merab in the second fight, then it's over. I feel like Merab not only is going to clear out the whole top 10 bantamweight, but he's going to potentially overlap everybody, for real, because half of it, he already got through Sugar Sean twice. So next up is Petrion. He gets through Petrion. That's 2 niggas that he done beat twice and skunked them in a rivalry series, right? So the main big picture is, and I can't really put him as a top GOAT just yet, because if you look at the other niggas that's ahead of him, or even the niggas that we have in our top 5, not only was they a champ for a long extended period of time, which I think Merab couldn't even eclipse that, right? He could be in that same category as a long-term defending champ, but they also went ahead and not just get wins in other weight classes, but he also grabbed another weight. They also went up a division, a weight class, and got that championship as well, which we're going to get to with Alex Pereira. Merab, at this point, Merab, and like I said, going back to him potentially overlapping, which I think it's a 75 to 80% that he's going to overlap the top 15 at bantamweight at this point. I think he's going to clear TJ and Dom with ease, in my personal opinion. I mean, and he said it himself that he's not really looking at it that way right now. Like, he don't look at himself as the bantamweight GOAT right now. He just getting through each fight one by one. But it's at the point where this nigga Merab is so damn good that we got to start thinking. Y'all know my philosophy. For those that have been paying attention to my videos real closely, y'all know how I like to talk big picture philosophy shit. Big picture wise, you look into the future, who the fuck is gonna beat Merab? I mean, yeah, we got some killer. If you pay attention to the Dana White Contender Series, and then you know other fighters that's making their way up in the rankings, we do got some killers at bantamweight on the rise. But are they good enough to beat Merab? Especially when, you know, and I feel like Merab is not even in his prime yet. You can potentially say Merab is now in his prime. And honestly, you know what? I'll give y'all that. We can say that Merab is in his prime right now, because we seen Merab on the come up when he had like, when his hairline was all fucked up and shit. Now that Aljo is out the way, he could potentially just wreck shop. And I said this before on camera. Aljo staying in that division was going to hold him back some, because we know how it is with MMA, and these niggas don't want to fight their they don't want to fight their teammates or whatever. But now Aljo out the way, who's stopping Merab for dominating this whole weight class? And who is there even on the come up that could potentially rival Merab? The only person is Umar. And once he get through Umar again, it's raps, you know? And I don't see him, he haven't talked about going up to featherweight yet, but as far as like what we're going to talk about in the few minutes with Alex Pereira, he's not reaching that territory yet, because he hasn't said anything about it, so we can't really put him in that conversation or debate just yet. But bantamweight specifically, I think when it's all said and done, he's gonna clips and overlap TJ and Dom. He realistically got a good chance of doing that, which, you know, some niggas fuck with Merab, some niggas don't, because of the style, and especially in today's UFC. I think the way the fans are, the fans are more, not that they don't like grappling or wrestling, it's more so that you have to do something with it. And a lot of these niggas, other than, I mean, people can say what they want about Khamzat. Khamzat actually looked for the finish. It's just DDP was just durable. But Merab, I think what it is that niggas is really expecting like Khabib type groundwork, when really the only person that comes close to it is Khamzat. Islam is nowhere. Islam groundwork is like the best overall, but that's because he's patient, he's methodical. Like, he's not the Khamzat and Khabib type mauling style. He's more methodical and patient with his transitions, because he wants to get to a certain spot so he can choke your ass out. But niggas is really expecting like a Khabib mauling all the time, and Merab, he really don't have that. Like, Merab is the type to just hold you down, throw a couple shots here and there, and try, and if it's there, he will look for the submission, but he really just try to just take you down and just control you for real. And I know I fuck with Merab, but I know a lot of niggas don't, because of that style. There's a lot of, I'd say 60 to 70% of UFC fans today is more kickboxing and Muay Thai oriented and just boxing oriented. So I know some niggas is gonna feel some type of way about Merab, you know, breaking these records and potentially being a GOAT. But I mean, there's no other way around it. Once he gets through Umar, it's raps. And there's some good niggas at bantamweight. There's some good niggas at bantamweight, but Merab is just he's on a whole different stratosphere that I think these niggas can't even get to. But I just want to speak on that, because now it's getting to the point where we're going to have to talk about it. We ain't got no choice but to talk about it. But my final answer with everything I just said, you know, breaking down category to category, giving reasons, Merab, he's going to be a bantamweight GOAT. Once he gets to Umar, if he gets to Umar, the second fight, he's going to be a bantamweight GOAT. Because there's no other, it's the same conversation I've been having on my other platform about Pantoja. Like, Pantoja, he's overlapped flyweight to the point where, and it's crazy because I might have to double back on Pantoja to see if he's better than DJ at flyweight. You know, but Merab, he's gonna be a bantamweight GOAT. So now we go to Alex Pereira, and I mentioned this on the review. With everything that Alex Pereira accomplished in this short span of time, what is it, like 4 years? Like, has it been like, it's been 4 years, right? It's like 4 years, I believe. What Pereira accomplished in this span of time in the UFC, coming into the UFC, and really he only has, since coming to the UFC, out of all the fights he had, he only lost twice. That's Izzy, the Izzy rematch, and Megomedov Ankalaev, the first fight. So he only has 2 losses, right? Goes up to middleweight, gets the middleweight strap, right? Goes up, okay, he loses to Izzy, okay? He goes up to light heavyweight. Gets that light heavyweight strap, beat a lot of good niggas. He, honestly, if you compare his resume and light heavyweight, his light heavyweight resume is more historic than his middleweight. Because middleweight, it's kind of like he went through like, you know, I forgot who was his first opponent, but he went through Sean Strickland, which is, okay, Sean, by name value, and I fuck with Sean, but by name value, you can say that's a worthy opponent. But Sean is kind of like, I don't know, Sean is like up and down to me, where it's kind of like, I guess you can say he's a worthy opponent, but it's by name value because of Sean Strickland. But then him beating Izzy, you know, Izzy is a legend in the UFC for what he accomplished. And, you know, a lot of niggas got him overtaking the spot of Silva as the middleweight GOAT. You know, I personally do. My personal opinion, I personally do. Just because he got, you know, he ended up getting the belt back when, you know, and it's crazy that we say that because Izzy is starting to be on the Anderson timing, where when we knew that Anderson was never going to get the belt back, he just kept losing and kept losing, and he wasn't the same. Izzy definitely not getting the belt back, but I do feel like Izzy, stylistically, some of these matchups in middleweight, he could potentially get a dub back, which, you know, the one that broke my heart the most seeing Izzy lose was actually the Nasruddin Imov fight, because I feel like stylistically, even though Nasruddin can grapple, he just like to strike. So I feel like stylistically, Izzy should have beat him. I don't expect Izzy to beat Kamzat or Fluffy, or especially a nigga like RDR, or even Brendan Allen. Izzy could beat Brendan Allen, because Brendan Allen be on some bullshit. But regardless, Alex Pereira got Izzy on his resume too, and we all know with that rivalry from the kickboxing days. So with all that in mind, and Alex Pereira, not only has he got 2 weight class belts, but now he ended up getting the belt back at light heavyweight in a first round TKO stoppage. So we at the point where, okay, he did what he did, right, in middleweight, got the belt, did what he did at light heavyweight, got the belt, defended it like, what, 3 times? The Yuri rematch, Jamal Hill, and Khalil Roundtree, which all 3 of them was by knockout and TKO finishes. So then he loses the belt, but then he gets the belt right back in an immediate rematch and a finish. So 2 weight class belts plus 3 title defenses loses, and now he got the belt back. So he's a 2-time light heavyweight champ. Now he's talking about going up to heavyweight. And I spoke about that on the weekend recap. Should Pereira, is it time for Pereira and John Jones / Tom Aspinall? But right now, as we speak, that's why I'm making this video. Has he over? And I've seen this picture floating around on social media. Depending on, because I know a lot of niggas really, and it's up for debate. Everybody's own personal opinion. But some people got Khabib in their 4th and 5th spot, and some niggas don't got Khabib. But has Alex Pereira entered, like I've said it in the review, I think at this point he has entered the top 3. Like we look at John Jones, and I'm gonna have to read, and honestly I'm gonna have to redo my own list, because John Jones, right? Then you put DJ in there, and then GSP, and then Anderson Silva. And me personally, I had Izzy in my, see, that's why I said I'm gonna have to redo my list, because I had Izzy and Khabib, like they like kind of similar to me. See, Khabib, he got the undefeated record, but Khabib really retired in his prime, and for the right reasons, because y'all know niggas like Khabib, no disrespect, but niggas like Khabib, they follow their religion too closely, so word is kind of bond to them, if that makes sense. And plus, with the promise he made to his mother, niggas like Khabib, they don't go back on their word. So whatever promise that he made to his mother or religion, he stood on business on that. So, but we talking about in the fighting world, where he was at in his career, Khabib really retired in his prime. So Khabib could have potentially would have been, like, honestly, Khabib had the potential to be number 2 behind John Jones. But because he did what he did, retire early, Khabib, at least, in my personal opinion, he was like 4th or 5th, in my personal opinion. But also, matter of fact, we got DC, Daniel Cormier, So, and I just shout out to my nigga, Jerry, AFC West Jerry. I know he a DC fan. I mean, objectively, you gotta put DC up there because of what he accomplished. Light heavyweight champion and heavyweight champion, and he's like, I think him, Conor, and Amanda Nunes is like the only 3. No, because Conor didn't even defend the belt. So I think him and Amanda, it was only DC and Amanda Nunes who defended both belts simultaneously. I think Conor was like the first one to win a belt with having another belt, but Amanda and DC was the only 2 to defend the belt while they have two belts, and defend both belts. So you have to put DC in there. I mean, we're going to have to rework some top 5s. In my personal opinion, I don't want to drag this video out too long because I see I'm like 23 minutes in, but Pereira, to me, he's entered the top 5. And I said in a review, he got to be in the top 3 now, but let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all got Pereira in the top 5? Do y'all have Pereira in the top 5 GOAT conversation, like, already? And you got to think about like his resume, and also the thing was getting me about Pereira is like this short time of span. Like he's did all this in 4 years. Like, really, the only nigga that did this in a short span of time was Conor. From like 14 to like 16, like 2 years. But Pereira did more with his shit than Conor did. Conor was able to like hold 2 simultaneously belt in the span of like 2 years. His shit was like in the span of 2 years, but all he did was just go up the ladder just to get the belt, and that was it. Pereira gone up the ladder and then defended the belt and then got the belt back. Conor never got the belt back. So you can say it took Pereira 2 extra years to do what Conor did, but Pereira did way more than Conor in those 2 extra years. So Pereira is above Conor in that aspect as well. So it's a conversation that all of us MMA fans have to have. Like, where do y'all put these niggas at? Because at this point, it is getting to the point where we're gonna have to start talking, especially where they at in their career and how old they are. At this point, it's all legacy. At this point, Alex Pereira, and I say this in my personal group chat, Alex Pereira has nothing to prove at this point. His legacy is already cemented. It's just, you know, what else did he want to add on? You know what I mean? But y'all let me know in the comments, like, share, and subscribe what y'all think about this. It's a good debate and conversation to have. Yeah, man. Yeah, I just want to get this video out. Still under the weather. Y'all make sure y'all tune in to my, I don't know if I'm going to upload on YouTube. My next video on YouTube, well, I might do a video because I want to talk about Charlie Olives and Mateusz Gamrot a little bit before we get to the preview show. So y'all might get a quick video tomorrow because I talked about Charlie Olives today. So on here I'm gonna talk about I might talk about both of them, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna double back tomorrow and do another upload. But until my next video, I'm gonna holler at y'all niggas later, man.